Good evening. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. President Reagan punched harder and deeper today for passage of his $99 billion tax bill. He said passage would do more of what he says he has already done: bring down interest rates and speed up economic recovery. Mr. Reagan got some help on that score today, not from Congress, but from the Federal Reserve Board and some of the nation's banks. Late today, the Fed cut its principal lending rate to member banks for the third time in less than a month, this time from 11% to 10.5%. Then several banks said they would cut their prime lending rates by half a point, from 15 to 14.5%. The upshot: good news for business, no immediate impact on consumer loan interest rates. Bill Plant reports the battle of the tax bill is close and fierce.
The lobbyists were stacked up in the corridors of the Capitol today, a line of eager supplicants waiting to plead their cases with members of the House Senate Conference Committee for saving or scuttling parts of the administration's tax bill. The congressmen and senators were also being lobbied by such administration heavies as Treasury Secretary Donald Regan. The president didn't even have to leave the House to do his lobbying. Instead, he made one of his rare appearances in the White House press room to push for the tax bill.
This tax bill is not, as it has so often been mislabeled, the biggest tax increase in history. That's plain hogwash. The goal is simple and just: to see to it that everyone pays his fair share, no more, no less. In other words, this bill is 80% tax reform, not tax increase.
Insisting that his economic program is already working, the president cited falling interest rates as evidence the recession is ending. Keeping the pressure on Congress, the White House brought more Republican House members in for a personal chat with Mr. Reagan and announced that he would make his final pitch for the tax bill in a nationally televised speech Monday evening.
Once the public fully understands, or better understands, the tax reform proposal, as only the president can communicate it, then I think we'll see a lot of support for it. It's not a part of our.
To further push the point, the Republican National Committee has produced radio and television commercials featuring the president, in which he urges passage of the bill without ever mentioning that it is a tax measure.
You can help by urging your representative in the Congress to support this important legislation.
As Mr. Reagan left for Camp David this afternoon, his aides conceded that he does not yet have the votes to pass the tax bill. So he'll keep up the pitch, inviting some members of Congress to visit him at Camp David Sunday, a reward rarely used in this administration. With organized conservative and other opposition still very strong, Mr. Reagan's only hope lies in convincing the public that his $99 billion package is more tax reform than tax increase, and getting the public to convince Congress. It will be very close. Bill Plant, CBS News, the White House.
Three big groups that supported President Reagan's run for the presidency said today they will run against his big new tax increases. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the American Farm Bureau Federation, and the National Federation of Independent Businesses say they will marshal their combined membership of 4 million people and try to defeat the tax bill. They say the answer is less federal spending, not higher taxes. Word from the government today that as far as money is concerned, you can eat about as much as you want, but when it comes to driving, ask yourself the old wartime question: is this trip necessary? The Labor Department says wholesale prices in July rose at a moderate annual rate of 7.1%. Gasoline prices took their sharpest jump in 8 years, but the report said food prices fell at the steepest rate since 1976. Among the reasons for last month's food price decline at the wholesale level were sharp drops in prices for beef and veal. But today, Ned Potter reports prices for another kind of meat ran hog wild.
Watch the supermarkets, say the analysts. The jump will probably come within 2 weeks.
We could be seeing something like a 15 to 20% increase in the retail price of, let's say, for instance, bacon.
New high prices for live hogs were set today in the stockyards of Omaha, Peoria, Kansas City, and St. Joseph, up to $67 per 100 pounds of hog, breaking a 1975 record. On the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, where they trade in hog futures, the price was not a record, but the experts say there will be one soon.
Part of the reason prices are now so high is that they've been so low for so long.
2 years ago, those prices were a little more than a third of what they are now. Farmers agree that $50 per hundredweight is the break-even point, so many of them were getting out of the business. The national hog herd is 13% lower than it was a year ago.
A lot of farmers were forced out of production because of the high interest rates.
Prices will likely drop again in early 1983, say brokers. This is all part of a giant, fairly regular cycle. But the current state of the economy has made it all the more extreme. Ned Potter, CBS News, Chicago.
One prominent banker in Mexico City today called the situation the most difficult moment since the revolution more than 70 years ago. He was referring to a Mexican government freeze on dollar accounts in Mexican banks and the suspension of trading in foreign currency. These moves were ordered to save Mexico's dwindling dollar reserves.
Make it comfortable. Good.
That was comfortable.
I've been giving my daughter tips on driving, and here's another important one. If you drive a car, you need premium performance tires. So I put Bridgestone Super Filler radios on Leslie's car. The hard rubber Super Filler here lets the sidewall flex, so you get a big footprint of rubber for cornering, braking, handling, and comfort too.
They're comfortable, Pop, and they're performers.
That's right. You can feel it when you drive. Bridgestone Super Filler steel belted radials. See the yellow pages for a Bridgestone dealer near you.
General Bonaparte, you say an army travels on its stomach?
And its wallet.
Carry lots of cash, huh?
Oh, madness. We carry Bank America traveler's checks.
Bank America traveler's checks?
Bank America, accepted in 160 countries. Sure beats charging all the time.
And if you lose them?
We never lose. Besides, they are refundable in 40,000 places worldwide. In case you get caught short.
Bank America traveler's checks.
Poland's reform movement, Solidarity, is in a shambles now, crushed last December by martial law. But it is by no means forgotten. Thousands of demonstrators in Warsaw, Gdansk, and near Krakow today took to the streets on the eve of the second anniversary of that movement's beginning. But their observance turned violent as riot police moved in. Bert Quint is in Warsaw.
In Gdansk, perhaps 3,000 people, many of them shipyards workers who formed the nucleus of the Union in August of 1980, tried to lay wreaths at a monument to the dead of the disturbances of another era, those of 1970. Armored vehicles moved against them. The workers then tried to march toward Gdansk Communist Party headquarters, shouting anti-regime, pro-union slogans. More people joined them, forming a crowd of about 10,000. A CBS News team took pictures of police using water cannons, batons, and tear gas against them. Those pictures, along with CBS personnel, were taken to a Gdansk police station and held until it was too late to get the tapes back to Warsaw for tonight's broadcast. Bert Quint, CBS News, Warsaw.
At his White House meeting with reporters today, President Reagan said he is reasonably optimistic that the evacuation of the PLO from Beirut will begin next week. In Beirut, U.S. envoy Philip Habib resumed his negotiations aimed at achieving just that. But sources close to the talks said that Israel has upped the ante. Israel reportedly now is insisting that 13,000 Palestinian fighters, not 6,000 to 9,000 as had been believed, must be withdrawn from Beirut. Elsewhere in the Lebanese capital, a ceasefire between Israel and the PLO was holding, and this break in the violence allowed Beirut's civilians to recover from yesterday's all-day massive Israeli air attack. Bob Simon is in West Beirut with that story.
Much of yesterday's devastation occurred in Burj al-Barajnid, where the Israelis have insisted there are virtually no civilians, only fighters. Women, children, old people who live there put white flags on top of their buildings to let Israeli pilots know these were not military targets. That didn't work. They spent all day yesterday in shelters underneath the buildings. In many cases, that didn't work either. In this shelter, survivors say, 40 people were killed, 50 wounded, all Lebanese. There was a cemetery just across the street. A grave was being prepared today for a family of 6, mother, father, 4 children. Beirut's makeshift hospitals, overwhelmed by the new influx of casualties, have been turning back all but the most serious cases. This ward in the basement of a school accepted 30 patients yesterday, almost all burn victims. When the bombing began, 23-year-old Muna Ramadan, a business student at the American University here, ran from her apartment to the basement. That's where she was hit.
We were in the shelter when the aeroplanes came hit us. It was, I think somebody gave, because there's no soldier there or anybody, we are just civil people living there. There's no soldier near us.
People believed in this ceasefire enough to crawl out of their holes without looking to the skies for Israeli warplanes. But they did not believe it would last. Bob Simon, CBS News, Beirut.
Across the city's dividing line in East Beirut, Nobel Peace Prize winner Mother Teresa said she is there to help victims of the fighting. She added, quote, "I still don't know exactly what the situation is, and I am not interested at all in politics." She was sent to Beirut by Pope John Paul II.
How do the vitamins in these cereals compare with Total's?
I don't know.
This shield shows Total has 100% of a day's allowance of 9 vitamins and iron.
Okay.
Put Total Shield on your cereal to compare vitamins.
I eat grape nuts. 25%. Total's a lot higher. But how's it taste?
Crisp flakes of whole grain wheat. And 100% of 9 vitamins. That's the total difference.
Big jeans, small jeans, little jeans too. Kmart's got the jeans for you. Style, fashion, and good taste. Kmart is your saving place. Challenger jeans with premium brand. Twill and brush at a price that's grand. Boy sizes at a price that's small. Now swing your partner. We've got them all. Now ladies to the left for a price that's right. Girls too, now step light. Alaman left and a do-si-do. Little girls jeans with room to grow. Get set to beat the high price race at Kmart. Your saving place.
It's no secret that something went wrong last month when the Space Shuttle's secret military experiment was up. Tonight, an account of what the main package was and what went wrong. Sources say it was an infrared telescope and that the telescope cover wouldn't come off. The purpose of the scope? Data gathering for future spacecraft to detect enemy missiles. There are 150,000 cases of heart surgery in this country every year. Often it's the difference between life and death. But what to do after the operation when, as Linda Douglas reports, the sickness is the soul?
6 months ago, television reporter Jim Mitchell was living on the edge of death. He was a compulsive smoker, drinker, and worker, and doctors told him he was about to have a heart attack. Mitchell underwent what is now a common procedure, a coronary bypass operation to replace clogged arteries in his heart. The surgery probably saved his life. He should have been overjoyed immediately.
A few days after I got out of the hospital, I was just overwhelmed by this terrible sense of depression and a feeling that my whole life was just coming apart at the seams. I started crying. I couldn't stop crying. I started calling friends and crying to them.
What happened to Mitchell is common and a cause of growing concern. More and more, doctors are realizing that surgery is traumatic, even when it's successful. Often it takes the mind longer to heal than the body. That's especially true for heart patients. New studies show 40% become depressed, anxious, or angry right after surgery. 20% stay that way. Some patients develop marital problems and others go through wild mood changes.
I think it's a disappointment over not being as good as new and an expectation that is perhaps a little too high.
Your illusion of safety has been torn to shreds. You're suddenly exposed in a sudden, very disruptive way to what all of us are so afraid of most of the time.
Many surgery patients find it hard to shake what they believe was a brush with death. Like Joanne Gully. 6 months ago, her heart was fitted with a plastic valve. Right away, she noticed a faint ticking sound when her heart beat.
It just seemed like I was listening for it to stop. It's still there, the feeling that, you know, something could happen, that I could die.
Doctors and psychologists, alarmed by the high incidence of post-surgical emotional problems, have formed an international panel to look for causes and solutions. And though it's still a controversial idea, some psychologists believe patients should be warned before surgery about possible depression. Jim Mitchell wishes he'd been prepared.
The attitude seemed to be, well, if we tell him he might be depressed, then it'll become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Jim Mitchell and Joanne Gully say their depression is gradually going away as they learn to accept the life surgery has made possible. Linda Douglas, CBS News, Los Angeles.
As a baseball team's mascot, the San Diego Chicken attracted a lot of attention. But it was a San Diego chick that drew notice today, the symbol of a bird that once ruled the roost. Jerry Bowen tells why.
There was a day when the sight of California condors soaring overhead was not so rare, but now, due to encroaching civilization, it's estimated that only 20 to 30 of the species exist. That's why this 3-month-old chick is so important, removed just after sunrise this morning from its nest in a mountain cave 60 miles north of Los Angeles, because its parents were neglecting to feed it. Wildlife officials feared it would die.
Perhaps they had trouble finding food. Perhaps they went through a poisoning episode, and it took them a while to recover.
The chick's new home is a condominium. What else at San Diego's Wild Animal Park. Here, the young bird will be raised and, when mature in 7 to 8 years, will be part of a captive breeding program.
The rate of decline is so fast that unless we establish a captive breeding population at this point, it's very likely that we can't learn enough about the wild population in time to correct the problems out there.
The chick will be monitored closely over the next several days to see if it will feed voluntarily or must be encouraged by condor puppets, surrogate parents that have worked in the past with Andean condors. Officials hope to learn, too, exactly what is feathering this nest. The chick has already been named Napoleon, but that could change after the sex is determined. It might just be Josephine. Jerry Bowen, CBS News, San Diego.
Open wide.
Oh, wait a minute, Doctor.
What's wrong, Joan?
You need the breath deodorant.
Sorry. Must have been the onion salad dressing.
Clorette's will take care of that.
Clorette's?
Clorette's is the breath deodorant. It'll freshen your breath fast. Only Clorette's has Actazol and helps your mouth's own freshening power eliminate bad breath. The breath deodorant costs a little more, but it's worth it. Ready, Doctor?
For fresh breath fast, Clorette's, the breath deodorant.
From Land O'Lakes country, coming home.
Home to the good things.
Coming home.
Home to good fresh country flavors like buttery tasting Land O'Lakes margarine. Tastes dairy fresh because it's made with fresh skim milk.
Coming home to the buttery flavor, to a taste you'll understand. Come on home to the margarine that comes from Butterland.
Land O'Lakes margarine, from America's #1 butter maker.
Auction house officials say that until today, the record price paid for a 20th century photograph was $3,200 for a signed picture of 3 presidents, Nixon, Ford, and Carter. Today, that record was broken at New York's Hamilton Galleries. A Boston collector paid $4,250. The prize? A signed photograph of Chicago gangster Al Capone. Most members of Congress are getting ready for the homestretch run for re-election in November. Some or not, more than 20. Some of them say they are too old or too ill, but a few say they're just plain sick and tired. No time, no money, no fun, so no more. They've decided the House is no longer the place to call home. Susan Spencer takes a look tonight at how times have changed since Mr. Smith went to Washington.
There's a lot to be said for being in Congress. Prestige, perks, attention, power, a chance to serve. The movies told us about that a long time ago.
I want to make that come to life for every boy in this land. Yes, and all light up.
Mr. Smith took his ideals and his courage and had to fight like a tiger to stay in Congress.
I've got a piece to speak. And blow hot or cold, I'm going to speak it. Will the Senator yield?
All the drama, all the excitement, why would a modern-day Mr. Smith decide that not only is he through speaking his piece, he wants out?
It's hard to break away from. It's like you're mainlining some drug here. I mean, the drug is politics, and you're mainlining it, and it's wonderful. But all of a sudden, I woke up and realized I had no other life other than politics, other than being a congressman. I had no personal life. I mean, family life was going haywire, and I had no friends. I had no leisure time. It was just crazy.
I'm a very popular woman, but a very lonely woman. I have no private life at all. I go home on weekends, and sometimes I return to Washington, D.C. on Mondays more tired than ever. I have the kind of volatile constituency that demands, needs so much, no time to breathe.
The departing Mr. Smiths, who are not old, sick, or otherwise unelectable, almost always cite personal considerations as their main reason for moving on. Next comes the frustration of a basically unwieldy Congress, a sense that everything is just too cumbersome around here, and there's no time for anything.
Late Thursday, late Friday, and the chairman's holding the possibility might be on Saturday.
Ken Holland of South Carolina says even if it were worth it personally, at $60,000 a year with 4 kids and 2 homes to keep, he just can't hack it financially anymore. Don Mitchell of New York agrees and says he only hopes he's leaving in time to salvage his faltering optometry practice before he has nothing left to go back to. And Jim Jeffries of Kansas says he's tired of explaining that no, 60 grand a year for a congressman is not enough.
Anybody that says that you can come up here and make money, in my estimation, are full of prunes, because it's been nothing but a loss to me.
Mark Marks of Pennsylvania says he looks forward not only to having more money, but also to getting away from lobbyists and special interest groups trying to influence congressmen they know are strapped for funds. And Bill Broadhead couldn't agree more.
Ethically, it's awful. I mean, people are, you know, some of the brightest people in the country are actively trying to corrupt you every day of the week. And you get damn tired of that.
You know, every time you punch one of those 3 buttons, you're looking behind you to see who back there is going to get antagonized by what you do.
It's like an octopus that has all of these tentacles. And each one of those tentacles, he's got his claw in your body, and you can't get away.
So naturally, a certain sense of freedom comes from knowing you're not going to be around next year. Take the case of Congressman Marks, answering a man who kept sending complaining letters.
Yeah, well, I just couldn't take it anymore, so I wrote him back and I said, "Dear, whatever your name is, screw you," and I signed it respectfully. Of course, I felt very...
This has been a liberating experience.
Oh, it's been, I'm telling you, free at last.
What would Mr. Smith say to that? Susan Spencer, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Actor Lloyd Nolan for Super Polygrip.
Some Hollywood glamour, tuna on a seeded roll. You know, it's murder when these seeds get under your dentures. Ouch! That's why I've used Super Polygrip for years. The extra holding formula makes a tight seal between dentures and gums. Helps keep food out, dentures in. So, a Hollywood lunch is easy to chew.
Super Polygrip helps keep food out, dentures in.
New chairs would cost $400, but I'm refinishing these beautiful old ones for $35. Form B's is saving me a fortune.
Form B's can turn this into this for $25.
Form B's furniture refinisher takes the effort and the expense out of refinishing. It dissolves old varnish, lacquer, and shellac without sanding or scraping. Imagine beautiful old furniture for less money than expensive new furniture.
Homer Formby. No one knows wood as good.
Many stores now have special values on my furniture refinisher.
Who needs Dr. Scholl's air pillow insoles?
You do if you work with your feet.
I walk all day long. Without Dr. Scholl's air pillow insoles, I quit.
I hardly take a step, but I couldn't do this without my air pillow insoles.
Thin enough to slip comfortably into your shoes. And heavenly soft to cushion every step all day long. Who needs Dr. Scholl's air pillow insoles?
Just about anybody who hasn't got them.
Show me a hero, wrote F. Scott Fitzgerald, and I will write you a tragedy. But a hero emerged from the tragedy of that Air Florida crash which claimed 78 lives in Washington last January. After a life of anonymity, he spent one brief, unforgettable moment in the spotlight. Now Bob Schieffer looks at the hero after the spotlight's moved on.
When Lenny Skutnik, the self-described ordinary guy who said he had never had a life-saving lesson and had never really done anything special, dived into the icy Potomac River that day, made that dramatic rescue of one of the women who had been aboard the doomed plane. And when it was seen by millions on television, it became a scene that electrified the nation and made Lenny Skutnik a national hero, an instant celebrity. Today, looking back on it from the riverbank where it all happened, Skutnik says the hoopla, not the rescue, was the hard part for him.
It used to be real hard for me just to get in front of the classroom and read an oral report, and then being pushed in front of, huge crowds of people, at these awards ceremonies, it's nerve-wracking.
After the rescue, Skutnik was cheered at the government office where he worked. Letters and awards poured in from all over the world, and he was honored all over the country. He was even saluted by the president and given a standing ovation by Congress. Now that the cheering has stopped, he's back prowling the halls of the huge government office where he works as a messenger. And he still keeps busy operating the office copying machine. History may be filled with sad tales of those who became instant celebrities, couldn't handle it, and were broken by it. But here or in the Virginia suburb where he lives with his wife and sons, where the community center has been renamed the Lenny Skutnik Center for Heroism, they say the news about Lenny Skutnik is he hasn't changed at all.
He's the same Lenny Skutnik he always was.
As he pores over the thousands of letters he's received and as he sits amid the dozens of awards that fill his tiny living room, Skutnik still seems genuinely puzzled that such a fuss was made over what seemed to him a natural thing to do. And he says the letters bear out that most people would do the same thing.
It's in black and white. I mean, the feeling's there. People wrote it. I mean, it sounds like they would help.
And in Lenny Skutnik's neighborhood, no matter who you ask, they'll tell you he really means it.
He doesn't show off, and he's not mean. He's not mean to the kids like certain people around here. He's a good guy.
Bob Schieffer, CBS News, Washington.
And that's the CBS Evening News for this Friday. Bob will be here tomorrow. Dan Rather reporting from New York and hoping you have a good weekend.
When we tell you Michelin radials last and last.
That's no surprise.
When we tell you Michelin radials save gas.
That's no surprise.
But when we tell you can get Michelins for about the same price as other leading radials.
Now that's a surprise.
But it's true. We're America's fastest growing tire company. We make the tire you need at a price you can afford. See your Michelin dealer and prices set for your car. You'll be pleasantly surprised. Michelin. We put America on radials. It's Riunite Isopair time. Right now, Riunite is twice as nice because it's specially priced.
Get ready for the NFL excitement. The Raiders meet last year's Super Bowl champion San Francisco 49ers. Preseason action tomorrow on CBS Sports.
This is CBS.
State lawmakers are about to start their own investigation of the state's crowded prison system. We'll have that story. And we'll tell you about a joyride 6 teenagers took last night in a paddle boat. Coming up next on Eyewitness News.
Your shrimp boats come in, Nashville, so come on out for the fantastic truckload sale of Gulf Coast shrimp and seafood this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only at the Farmers Market, 715 Jefferson Street, Nashville. Direct from Gulf Coast waters, delicious off-the-boat shrimp. But hurry, supplies are limited. Bring your cooler, fill your freezer Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.